In the Sons of Attila update, which is going to be dropping next week by all reasonable estimations, the F5C is joining the F-4S in rank 7. Now this could destabilise rank 7 a little bit. Not that rank 7 is like a political court or anything, but for the first time the F-4S is now going to have competition. It's actually quite a bold strategy from Gaijin, as it could potentially cost them revenue. Then again, both of these planes have probably brought in Gaijin over a couple $1 million each from sales, so I don't really care. Anyway boys, I'm going to go over the basics of this plane, how to fly it and how to do well in it, and then talk about its performance in the current meta and whether it's still going to be worth picking up after the F5C buff. So for the basics, the F4S Phantom 2 sits at battle rating 11.0 for arcade and 11.3 for realistic and sim. You can pick it up for a cost of $70 on the Gaijin store, and it does come with Golden Eagles and Premium Time. Like all other premium, it's going to cost you 10,000 silver lines to put it in your crew, and seeing it's a top tier jet fighter, I would strongly recommend you pick up the Expert qualification, which is going to set you back 1,730,000 silver lines. Quite a steep price I know, but you do need it for pulling those high G loads at top tier. You can then also either grind out the Ace qualification, but if you can afford it, and with the Golden Eagles you get with the plane, I would strongly recommend you purchase the Ace qualification as well. That's 3,000 Golden Eagles, again pretty steep, but a highly trained crew at top tier is basically essential. We then have the reward multipliers, and for RP we get 714%, and for Silver Lions it's not quite as good as the F5C, but we still get a respectable 930%. So boys, some people might argue that with this plane's weaponry, the AIM-9H and the AIM-7F, that the F4S is kind of up tier proof because you've still got pretty good missiles, regardless of the mediocre airframe performance. So is this going to be a good investment for future players? Or like the Harrier GR1, is Gaijin going to nuke it into the ground after they've made their money? Alright boys, welcome back. It's pretty common knowledge that people think the F4S is basically just a brick with wings and an engine, I guess. And for the F4S we have the General Electric J79s, producing 5,250 kilos of thrust when military power and 8,160 kilos when afterburning. These engines are very spicy and hot, so be sure to cut your afterburner if you do get targeted by an IR missile. These engines generally though do have very good thrust. We have 180 meters per second climb rate with clean wings. However, we are going to be taking missiles into this match, I hope, in order to get some kills. So that's going to drop it down by around 50 meters per second to a pretty mediocre, if I'm going to be honest, 135 meter per second climb rate. While you aren't going to be catching up with any of the F-16s or the MiG-29As, no one's really buying this plane for its performance. It's basically just a missile boat. While the F4S did receive the US Navy version of the Agile Eagle upgrade, it's nowhere near as effective as the US Army's version. So I wouldn't recommend trying to go into a merge with this plane either. Just stay fast and spam missiles at people basically. We do get 60 countermeasures though, so we can skill issue some IR missiles coming at us. While I do take the mixed belt, or well, I guess the mixed loadout with 30 chaff and 30 flares, you can defeat most missiles now with just a single pop of the flare and cutting your engine down to around 20%. It's not enough anymore to just cut afterburner, you now have to cut down to quite low engine speed and then pop a flare. But 30 flares is still more than enough in my opinion. The F4S also receives some spicy new avionics. We have a CCIP for all of our weapon systems, as well as a very powerful radar, coming equipped with EEGS or a helmet mounted display. This allows us to guide our radar onto locking a target by simply moving our mouse. Let's quickly go over the radar. We have two functions available. The first is a standard search mode. This is only effective against people who are above you, as it does not filter out ground clutter. So if you see a big stupid F-14 trying to recreate a Top Gun scene, lock him with the search mode and he will not be able to notch that radar. However, it is still quite vulnerable to chaffing. Our second radar mode, and one of the reasons that this plane is so powerful at the minute, is its search pulse Doppler head-on mode. This is effective against people who are below you, as it has the ability to filter out ground clutter. It's easy to get locks against people who are mainly coming straight towards you. However, you can maintain locks against people who are flying pretty much 40 degrees away from you. If they manage to get the full 45 degree and then pop chaff, you are going to lose your lock. So, how does our helmet mounted display work? Well, if we go into the controls and we go to our radar section, we need to bind a key to the radar/IRST beyond/within visual range combat. I have this set to X, but can bind it to whatever you feel comfortable with. In a test flight or game and we press this button, we will see a flashing green box in our screen. This box is the ACM mode, or the Aerial Combat Maneuvering. This mode will get a radar lock on whatever aircraft flies within this box. As the name suggests, it's handy for people it's handy if you're in a dogfight and at close range, not really at ranges exceeding 10 kilometers. If we press that button again though, we now get a solid green outline of a box on our screen. This box moves around with our cursor, and this is the helmet mounted display function. If we want to lock a target, we need to put this green box over whoever we want to lock, and then press the lock radar target button. I have this set to my middle mouse button, which allows me to keep my fingers on the mouse without having to move my left hand really. I find it quite handy, some people might not like that. Again, feel free to bind the radar lock key to whatever you would like. This helmet mounted display is very handy for rapidly acquiring a target to fire at, and the reason we would want to get a radar lock in the F-4S is because we carry the fantastic AIM-7F Sparrow. The AIM-7Fs have a potential kill range of 40 kilometers, however much more realistically you're looking at between 2.5 to 10 kilometers. That is your ideal firing range. Following the recent patches, the MiG-29's R-27ERs have taken the highlight for the best semi-active radar homing missile. The ERs aren't really that effective at low altitudes, while they certainly are the kings of high altitude engagements. At the lower altitudes, the AIM-7Fs are still king in my opinion, especially considering the F-4S can carry up to 6 of these bad boys. The other feature of the helmet mounted display is the ability to slave our IR seeker of our AIM-9Hs. Now the Hs aren't really a major upgrade over the Gs, the only difference really being the internal electronics. There's nothing really that special, the AIM-9Gs, especially compared to a lot of the missiles that we have at top tier now. They're still decent though with 18 Gs of overload, not really close range missiles, 2.5 kilometers, and you're pretty decent to be honest. They are rear aspect compared to all aspect missiles, but again, they're still workable in my opinion. And at top tier where the speeds are quite supersonic, the air is flowing over the enemy that fast that you can get side aspect shots pretty easily with these missiles. A big downside for the F-4S, at least in the parasitic drag department, is the lack of an internal gun. This means we have to carry our 20mm Mod 5 on our belly centerline, or our belly hardpoint. This reduces the ability to carry a drop tank, but it's not really a problem with the huge amount of internal fuel of this plane. With the upgraded avionics, we do also get a radar gun lead indicator. This is helpful if you do go into a merge, and it is pretty handy to have actually. But again, try and use your missiles before you get into a turning or rate fighting gunfight really. It's not really designed to do that, but it's quite good for being a vulture and killing people who aren't aware. So in terms of air-to-air loadouts, as I see it, you have two real options. You can carry the 20mm gun, I would always take that into a battle no matter what, and then a choice between 2 additional weapon loadouts. The one that I use the most is 2 AIM-9Hs and then 5 AIM-7Fs. This gives you a very powerful weapon loadout, especially at the early to mid stage of a game where everyone's coming towards each other, allowing you to put that fantastic pulse Doppler head-on mode to great work. The alternative is to take 4 AIM-9Hs and 4 AIM-7Fs. This is more of a balanced approach, but I don't find that the IR missiles contribute that much to getting kills at top tier anymore, as most people will just follow them easily. For that reason, I'd recommend taking the first option, the 5 AIM-7Fs, and the 2 IR missiles as backup. So with our air-to-air stuff done, let's go over the secondary air-to-ground mode, and it's not actually that good for the F-4S, as the plane doesn't carry any type of precision guided munition. This renders it basically useless in ground realistic battles at top tier, as you do not have the weapon systems to compete with things like the Panzer. You have to get suicidally close to a battlefield to put any of your weapons on target, And I would recommend people to stay clear of this in ground realistic. It is a certified realistic beast. If you are looking for a ground realistic premium, then the Tram or even the F-5C is probably a better choice. But we can carry Mighty Mouse rockets as well as the Zunis, as well as a large selection of dumbfire and retarded bombs, ranging from 250 pounders to a 1,000 pound bomb. Alright boys, the conclusion. What do I think about this plane? Well, while you aren't a top tier plane per se in terms of battle rating, you are certainly going to be facing top tier planes like the MiG-29 and F-14 or F-16 every single match, so you are going to have to get used to getting your cheeks clapped if you don't play your cards right. Regardless though, this plane is a fantastic grinder in terms of getting kills, at least at the early start of a game where you are closing with the enemy. In the late stages of a match where it's more down to your flight performance as everyone has expended their missiles, the F-4S does leave a little bit to be desired in that aspect, as it doesn't have the acceleration or thruster weight to dogfight really. But even if you get 1 or 2 kills in this plane, you are still going to get a nice juicy chunk of RP and Silver Lions. I know in my previous video on the F-5C, I said that the F-5C was probably the better plane for people learning how to fly. If you don't really care about mastering the art of jet combat and just want to grind up to top tier America, then the F-4S is probably still a better choice. It simply just has more reliable weapons than the F-5C, and if you can master the radar controls, then they are arguably easier to use as well. The only real downside of the F-4S is its lack of a multi-role functionality. It has no precision guided weapons, which does negate it from being useful in ground realistic battles in my opinion. The only other downside is the cost of $70, but if you have the money and you want to grind out the American tech tree, then the F-4S is a good premium to pick up, and arguably is the best premium currently in War Thunder, at least in terms of top tier jets. Anyway boys, I've been SAKO, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Hey lads, if you made it this far into the video, then thank you so much for watching, I really do appreciate it. I have a whole load of other content on my channel, including tutorials and other vehicle reviews, so why not give them a watch, and if you like them, please do consider subscribing. Thanks again for watching though boys, I've been SAKO, and I'll see you in the next video.